In this tutorial, we are going to be going over the properties of list comprehension in Python and how it can make your code a lot simpler and more Pythonic. Now, this is a generally good practice to get into, especially when you're working with Python. It makes your code a lot more readable, which is, of course, one of the main upsides of using Python in the first place because of its readability and ease of use. Now, the program that we're going to be writing is going to be a program that accepts a list of words within a function, and it's going to match that list or it's going to compare that list to an already existing list, and it's going to output any words that match between the two. Now you'll see what I mean here in a minute, if that wasn't a good description. So we're going to establish this function called match words, and it's going to accept the list of words. Okay, and then the predefined list of words that we're going to be comparing this to, we're going to call list of words, and we're going to make this compare different types of pets. So say these are my pets, even though they're not, but say they are: cat, dog, and tortoise. We're trying to see how many people, or not how many people, but we're trying to see if this list contains any of these words. Now, how can we do that? Well, we're going to have to go through every word inside of this and check to see if it's inside of here. Now, with traditional methods, what we can do is create a for loop. And what this is going to do is take every word inside of the list. So if this was a list, it's going to take every item in that list and then execute the code beneath it for however many items there are in that list. So this word here is going to be the item in the list, and we can test if that word is in the existing list of words. Okay, now we need to store this word so that we know that it matches. So what we can do is create an empty list up here, and this is called instantiation, where you create an empty variable. In this case, it's not technically instantiation because you're establishing it to an empty list. But as far as it's concerned, we're instantiating an empty list up here in which we're going to add to later. And so now we could take that and use the property of appending to a list to add that word. Okay, now what we need to do is return that list. So what we're going to do is call this function and pass in what it accepts, which is a list of words. So we need to enter a list of words in here, and these are going to be different types of pets. So one could own a bunny, one could own a dog, one could own a hamster, and one could own a turtle. Okay, and if we called this right now, what this would do would be to return this, but it wouldn't really do anything. Okay, let me show you. It did it, it returned it, but it didn't pop up on the screen, and that's because we need to print this output. So right now, if we do this, it's going to say, okay, the only thing in that list up here that was also in this list is dog. Now, if we replaced one of these with another item in the list, it'll say dog, cat. Now, this is a good way of doing this. This works, but this is a very unPythonic way of doing it. In Python, there's a way to do this with a property known as list comprehension, in which we can do this all in one line. Sorry, all of this in one line. And I'm going to be showing you that today. So what we can do is create that variable matching words and assign it to a list again. Now, with the property of list comprehension, what we can do is create a loop within the list and give it certain words that it's going to accept. Now, let me write it out and then I can explain it in a moment. So As I said, we can create a for loop like we did before. For word in words. And now what this is doing is grabbing every word in words. Now, this doesn't know what to accept out of all of that. You're just saying forward in words. Even if you added other conditions to that, it doesn't know what to accept. So you're telling it to accept this variable word in words and add it to the list. And what this part right here is basically doing is appending it to the list. This is looping through the list. And then we can add conditionals. So if word in list of words. So this might look a little confusing, but you just really have to break it down. At the base of it is this for loop, and you're testing if it's a word in the list of words, and if so, appending it to the list. Now, if we run this, we should get a result of all the items that match. Dog and cat. Hopefully you could learn a little bit out of this um, lesson about list comprehension and take away the basics of how you can make something a little bit more Pythonic. I know it might not make as much sense thinking through it this way as it does, especially if you're used to other languages where it makes sense to loop through it and do all these things in multiple steps. But that's the beauty of Python, that we can shorten things and make them more readable. Thank you for watching. Let me know if there were other ways I can explain or improve this tutorial. Have a good one.